Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here today. Wow, I missed being here, and these days I was busy sewing, doing some stuff around the house, and I missed these chats. So before we start, thank you for all the new subscribers. Thank you for all the people viewing my videos, and please like this video, please subscribe, please share, please hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any new content. So this video, guys, what am I going to call it? Let me explain. So I am laying the ground. For the actual topic, subject that I want to really speak about. And I have been actually meaning to go there for a while, but sometimes you can't just get in there. You just have to listen to your intuition, listen to the voice within, because some of the things, people might think that you're just doing things because you're doing them or whatever, but there's always a bigger picture, which obviously none of you will ever understand, but that's not the point, right? This channel is about me. So I wish to use it to voice my views, my feeling, my standpoint, and of course hear your views, your feelings, your standpoint, because it's nice to share and hear, other people's views. So I'm gonna try to keep them at least 30 minutes per video. I don't want to go above that. So when I see I'm getting close to that, I'm going to cut the video and then do like a series part 2 or whatever the case. So where do I start? I think I'm gonna call this I am who I say I am, and not who you say I am. I think as we go further into this series, maybe it will make sense, maybe not, but that's what I feel I should call it. And so the other day, I had a bit of an aha moment, and because I was listening to a podcast by Dr. John Deloney. He runs a podcast with the Ramsey Show. It's a kind of where people call in. They are, counselors or psychologists, whatever you call them. So people will call in and say, this is my problem, and then he will offer a his solution or whatever, or help them through whatever they are going through. So when this woman phoned in and was speaking on this show, I said, this woman's story could just be my story. And I said, I've been meaning to have this topic But I think this is a very good departure point, because now I get to lay the ground on her story, because my story will connect to her story, because my story is actually literally a carbon copy or very much similar to her story. So let me get into it. So this lady phones in to the podcast and she says, she has a mother. Her mother is about 76 or something like that. Now, her mother is obviously elderly and she is in care, because she's old. And why she was phoning in is that she feels that she is resentful of her mother, because her mother was not a good parent to her. So now that she is kind of stuck with taking care of her, and she feels resentful. And she really tried her damnedest to remain respectful, and the fact that she uses the words like not a good parent. I mean, I'm sure there are stronger words she could use, because I mean, in my opinion, even for her to phone in to this show to talk about it means she's deeply affected by this situation. So just a little bit of a background. She says that her mother, was part of the Holocaust, Holocaust, was a genocide of the European Jews during World War II by Nazi Germany. Some 6 million Jews were killed in that genocide. So her mother, were the ones who were hunted. And basically what happened was that her mother's mother was in that era, and they were actually in hiding. And so, she, in that situation, found out she was pregnant, and with her mother, this woman's mother that was calling. And so this woman, I'm going to call her this girl, it's easier. She believes, of course, that her mother was a traumatized person, because when you grow up in a situation like that, sometimes trauma happens to you in the womb, and so you don't even have to have things done to you outside the womb for you to experience trauma. So it's a kind of situation like that. So obviously, because of the psychological onslaught that happened to this mother, so the daughter believes that she became who she is because of that. Look, of course, there is truth to that, right? But I also do believe that, this girl is kind of making a lot of excuses for her mother, okay? Because that's what trauma does to you anyway. So you have to kind of, it's a way to protect yourself. Your body is trying to protect you, so you say all these things just to make it sound a bit acceptable. So she does say that her mother is schizophrenic. She has some personality disorders, and so it is what it is. But the bottom line of this story, now, she was saying she feels ashamed, because to even like be saying these things, she feels ashamed because, you know, this is not the norm in society. People have this idea that, your parents are good, you are here because they are good, and so you've succeeded because they were good, and that, naturally you're supposed to be good to them, and so people look at you funny when you speak something different that they don't expect. So, it is hard for her, she says, to say these things because not a lot of people are sympathetic to her plight, because she's just expected to be the good person in society, to be the good daughter, to be the good Christian, and do what's right, no matter how much that is killing her. Nobody cares about that. People will just look at you funny, like, wow, how could you say that about your mother? But the truth is that the mother did what she did. And you know what? I mean, this girl is basically saying, she's trying her damnness to have compassion. And I believe she does have compassion. I mean, to the extent that she is taking care of her. So, I mean, she can't be that much of a monster. But she also has to grapple with her own true feelings outside, the economic value she is to her mother, because she's a human being, she has feelings, she was hurt, and that does not just go away. And so, society does not give us the space, to be who we are. So, sometimes, I mean, I've seen this play out many a times in my circles. Of course, you're gonna get to hear my own story, but at the moment, as I said, I'm laying the ground because I want the ground to be fertile for what I'm going to drop in the ground, because it's quite hard and it's quite harsh. And so I think this is really, going to give us that leeway to not just to make it about me. And I want you to listen to this video first before you get to the next one, so that you don't just get to the core of the story without the background. At any rate, you can listen to it anyhow, but hopefully, this can bring healing to many of us, because there are many of us who are stuck in this rut, who won't get out because, we tend to do what is expected of us. Well, let me tell you what happens when you suppress your feelings, because you simply can't do that, okay? And that is why you get to a situation where people repeat trauma, right? Because they don't want to face the hard facts. So that is why you find that people who were abused become abusive as well to their own children, because they have not really swallowed and digested the fact that they were traumatized and that their parents were not good parents, because they just want to live in a fairy tale that, my mom was so good and all of this and all of this. And yes, let's face it, there are good parents out there. But generally, I mean, I'm a parent myself, right? And I'm definitely not going to be flawless. I mean, I'm sure my children will tell you how horrible I am, because it's true, right? It is true. And I am honest with them, and I'm not gonna make things flowery when they are not. Of course, I embark on the premise of being a good parent. You try to do good for them always, but you're gonna miss the boat, and it's fine, to miss the boat. It's all about even myself acknowledging when I have missed the boat and apologize and move along. But mostly, especially that our generation of parents, they just don't have the capacity to acknowledge their wrongs. And also, the notion of, I will not bow down to a child. And so, they had a certain idea about their children. But what they don't get to realize is that we are now adults and we're running our own families. So I'm no longer a child, and so I will not be treated as such. So you still expected to be seen and not heard. So that is what is happening. So and also, you see adults around who refuse to work on themselves. It's such a travesty. It's really a travesty when I look around and I see 60, 70, 80-year-olds who have not, you can see these it's lacking. I mean, when I see this kind of thing and I think to myself, wow, this is not where I want to be when I'm at that age. I should transcend, and I would have had time to work on these issues. I'm talking trivial things like, being in a queue with an elderly person and them throwing tantrums. It is ugly to see elderly people throwing tantrums. It's not a good look. But anyway, you see, I mean, I've seen, I get shocked actually every time. And I'm like, wait a minute. No. Obviously, for me, an example of my elderly, persons was my grandmother. And she was a sterling example for me. She was a sterling example for me. Obviously, I'm a grandchild to her. I'm sure her own children experienced something different. But for me, that is the epitome, of being a transcended elderly person, a person who shows grace, who shows care, who shows love, who shows understanding. And yeah, I've never experienced anything lower than that from my grandmother. And I'm sure, I mean, I've heard stories, not actual stories, but I've always kind of heard the notion from my mother. I mean, she would never really talk about it, but I kind of get the feeling that, she was not entirely, you know, getting this kind of positive embrace feeling from my grandmother. But obviously that's her thing. And as I say, I don't know the background story because, I just don't know. But, whenever, she would mention something in passing or whatever, it would not be positive. But luckily for me, I experienced what I experienced on my own. And generally, I don't judge people by what others say. So I want to experience it for myself. So, yeah, as I say, yesterday, a friend of mine, it's a male friend, he contacted me to say, actually, he was just, sharing with me that he just escaped a brutal car accident. I mean, his car was a write-off, and he's just so grateful he's alive. And but what he said in that sentence was that the worst of this was the fact that his cousins did not show up. Even though they knew he was in hospital, they heard he was in an accident, they never showed up. And he says, I've done everything for them. I have always been there for them. And yet, this is how they have done me. And then he says something else. He says, I'm moaning, but I don't hold grudges towards them. And you see, this is the programming of society. And I'm like, of course you need to be holding grudges. And this is the thing for me where, we're not entitled to our feelings because he is hurt. He is deeply, deeply hurt. And I know what kind of a person he is. When he says to me, I've done it all for them, I have done it, but this, and I say to him, that is exactly what you get. I believe you when you say, these people that you've done so much for, they have now treated you like this. That is what happens in this society. I've lived it, I'm living it, and so that is how it works. And I said to him, just feel what you feel and be angry because you need to be, and because you are abusing yourself if you go back to them and you like, oh no, it's fine, I don't hold grudges. Of course, what in the hell? I do hold a flippant grudge because what do you want me to get back in that situation? You've shown me who you are. Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, you must believe them. Stop not believing them. You better believe them. I have, friends where, she had a hard relationship with her mother. And, terrible mother. She was really bad. And now the mother died. And guess what happens? We romanticize the dead. But do you know who's going to suffer? She is going to suffer, because at the end of the day, she's the one who has to sit with her own feelings while she's painting the picture outside in the world that, oh, she was a great person. Oh, what. No, you know the story. She was a horrible human being. She was a horrible human being. Okay? And so if you don't acknowledge that, you're going to keep on abusing yourself, and it's not going to end well. Because let me tell you something, you cannot bullshit your body. You cannot bullshit your emotions. You are going to crack. If you're living a lie, your body is going to shut down on you. Okay? Because you are feeding it lies. I've seen it play out so many times. I have another friend, who's like, she knows, I mean, the mother is just atrocious, horrible, but, we may not say, but, she's cracking. She's cracking because the pressure of trying to maintain appearances and then have to live with this, it takes a toll on you. Your life is going to be a mess because you refuse to acknowledge. And I'm saying, acknowledge while your parent, your mother, is still alive, and sort it out, because let me tell you, when they are dead, there's no time for this anymore. Okay? There is no time for it. So, and I'm going to leave you with this. And, the video, or, the series is continuing, but I want to say this before I close this video. I value the living. I value, people who know me know this about me, and that is, I will move mountains for anyone. Okay. But, now I've come to a point now where I'm like, no, fuck this shit. Okay. I'm not doing this anymore. And I am saying that if you cannot make the time for us to have a good living relationship, don't expect me when you're dead that I'm going to be there at your funeral. No. No, I'm not doing that. I mean, I've shown it already that I literally, this is my take. I care for the living. I will love you hard in life, but I'm not going to move mountains when you're dead if you don't deserve it. Okay? I expect you to do the same with me, because I don't care when I'm dead. Okay? If you don't care now whilst I'm alive, and I'm saying, if you can't make the time to have tea with me now, don't bother when you hear Tembisa is dead. No. It's not the time. Why are you here? No. You tell me what, for whom. So you not. It's not for me. Obviously, it cannot be for me, because you didn't give a shit whilst I was alive, right? Let's be fair and be honest and be frank. So no. If we can't be friends now, we cannot be friends in death. That is just not the way it's going to be. So guys, as you can hear, this is going to be a hard one, but it's needed. Let's get into it in the next video. Thank you for listening. Please like, please share, please subscribe on the channel, and let's take this series forward. And this is going to be part 1, and then the other parts to follow. Thank you, and have a fabulous day.